People calling climate change the crisis of all time. The sea level is increasing, the heat is expanding, and the ice are melting. Leaders across the world gather around to talk about this and how to slow it down. They are under pressure from thousands of people calling them out for concrete actions. So the question is, what did we do wrong? And what exactly can we fix it? I'm Alma Hanifa, the student of LSPR Communication and Business Institute under the supervisor of Mr. Bonar Sirait. We're talking about climate change more that is currently happening right now in our world.
Residents forced to breathe toxic air.
How dare you!
So I'm gonna start with a simple explanation about climate change. I'm gonna jump into the scientifically explanation of climate change, so bear with me. As of early 2017, the Earth had warmed by roughly 2 degrees Fahrenheit, or more than 1 degree Celsius since 1880, when records began at a global scale. That figure includes the rise of the ocean. The warmer is greater in the land and greater still in the Arctic and across Antarctica. The number may sound pretty low. We experience much larger temperature swings in our day-to-day life from weather system and from changing of seasons. But when you average across the entire planet and over months of years, the temperature differences get far smaller. The variation of the surface of the Earth from one year to the next is measured in a fraction of a degree. So a rise of 2 degrees Fahrenheit since the 19th century is actually pretty high. It is explained why of the world land ice is starting to melt and the ocean are rising in an accelerating scale. With that appear may lead to some question. Who is responsible for this? The animal? No. The nature? No. The answer is humankind. Yes, we are responsible for the climate change. The heat accumulating in the Earth because of human emission is roughly equal to the heat that will be released by, hear me out, 400,000 Hiroshima atomic bombs exploding across the world every single day. Scientists believe most probably all of the warming since 1950 was caused by the human release of greenhouse gases. If emissions continue unhacked, they say that global warming could ultimately exceed 8 degrees Fahrenheit, which will transform the planet, undermine its capacity to support large human populations. With that, risks are much greater over the long run than over the next few decades, but the emissions that create those risks are happening right now. This means this current generation is dooming the next generation to the harder future. How much difficult is the future will face? Over the coming 25 or 30 years, scientists say the climate is likely to resemble the day of today, although gradually getting warmer with more than extreme heat wave that can kill vulnerable people. Rainfall will be heavier in many parts of the world, but the periods between rain will mostly grow drier and hotter. But the ones that do occur will draw energy from another ocean surface and therefore may be more intense. Scientists fear the climate change effect might be really severe, that they might destabilize governments, produce more refugees, participate in the 6th mass extinction of planet and animals in the Earth history, and melt the polar ice caps. It is also causing the seas to rise high enough to flood most of the world's coastal cities. So the question is, can we do anything about it? The answer is yes. We can reduce our greenhouse gases emission by doing the smallest thing. We can plug off the light in any room where we are not using them, drive fewer miles by consolidating trips or taking public transit, creating a zero plastic life, recycling our wastage, waste less food, and eat less meat. Leading companies are also starting to demand clean energy for their corporation. We can pay attention to company policies, protonize the leaders, and let the others to know we expect them to do better. In the end though, experts do not believe that needed transformation in the energy system can happen without strong state and policies. So using our right to speaking up as a citizen is as much as we can do. So is there any hope for good changes in climate change? Absolutely. After 20 years largely fruitless diplomacy in the terms of climate change, the government of the world are finally starting to take the problem seriously. A deal reached in Paris in late 2015 commits nearly every country to some kind of action on climate change. The United Nations agenda called Sustainable Development Goals also encourage the climate change across the world under its climate action goals. Not only that, even religious leaders like Pope Francis are also speaking out about the climate change. Low emission technologies such as electric cars are improving. And lastly, leading companies making bold promises to change the energy to renewable energy and stop the forest destruction. So for conclusion, we are facing a large crisis called climate change, which is unfortunately will doom our future generation. It is our responsibility to take action and to decrease the greenhouse gases emission and to decrease the impact of climate change for our dear planet. Regardless of how the world leader has moved forward and took further action with the climate change actions, it depends for every single one of us to take action and to end this crisis once and for all. And for the end, one of the youngest activists, climate change activists, Gretta Thunberg, once said, "The climate crisis has been solved. We already have the facts and the solutions. All we have to do is wake up and change." That is all that I want to say. Thank you so much.